I'm joined on stage by Mustan Lalani, Global Head of Sustainability at SHEIN, and Stephanie Benedetto, CEO of Aloqia. Please give a warm round. So we are going to be chatting all things circular economy, using tech to turn excess into opportunities. But to start us off, do you both just want to introduce yourselves, your journey, what led you to your current roles?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Benedetto. I'm the CEO of Aloqia. I come from a family of over 100 years in fashion, textiles, and supply chain. Grew up around the business, but keyed in early on to how powerful the world's supply chains are, but also wasteful and inefficient, and became passionate about how to solve that problem. And we built Aloqia. It helps businesses across industries and around the world model the excess inventory in their supply chain, manage it, and minimize it going forward. So excited to be here chatting.
Nice, Stephanie. And I'm Mustan Lalani, and I oversee sustainability at SHEIN, the on-demand fashion and retail platform. I'm new to the job. I started in January, and I don't have the 100 years of background in textiles or fashion as Stephanie does, so I'm learning a lot from my mentor over here. At SHEIN, our purpose is to make fashion accessible to all, and have those who buy our clothes express their innovation and their ideas. And so we've done quite a lot of work when it comes to enabling this for our customers and really having a truly disruptive model to the traditional fashion types of companies in the marketplace today. So I'm excited to be here with you today.
Amazing. Let's dive straight in. Stephanie, what is the issue being solved here?
Sure. So just a quick show of hands. How many people out there have businesses that have supply chains? Right? I mean, it's pretty much everybody. So every business with a supply chain has excess inventory. And I'm not saying that to embarrass or shame anybody. It's just, we all have it, and it's a fact of doing business. There's unused raw materials, excess finished goods, plastic, packaging, spare parts that just sits in warehouses collecting dust or being burned or sent to landfill. And obviously that's bad for people and planet, but as we said, bad for a business's profit. Right now, because of everything going on in the world, there's about $1.77 trillion with a T worth of excess inventory. So that challenge can also be turned into an opportunity. That also means there's $1.77 trillion worth of value in your supply chains right now, and that's what we're here to solve and activate.
Brilliant. Mustan, talk us through the SHEIN model. Let's do a bit of myth busting.
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. And let me start this with sort of the way that a traditional incumbent fashion or retail company operates today. You know, they have designers who create wonderful designs in clothes, like what I'm wearing or what Stephanie is wearing or what you're wearing, and then they send this to their supply chain and they get it produced. They normally make a big volume of this to ensure that they can keep their costs and economies of scale down. Then they put it on a ship or into an inventory. It goes into a distribution or fulfillment center, and then it normally goes into a shop and it's sold to you and me. And as Stephanie was saying, there is excess inventory that's left over, and the best estimates in the fashion sector, there's anywhere between 20 to 40% of excess inventory. And so with the cycles in the fashion sector today, most of that is discarded, and normally most of this is sent to landfill or even worse, even burned. And so this is a sort of a huge challenge in the industry, and what SHEIN did was actually flip this on its side, and I think it's truly disruptive. SHEIN doesn't really make anything until there's a high enough demand signal, and so let me explain that in some detail. SHEIN creates 100 to 200 samples or batches of new designs, like what I'm wearing today or perhaps what some of you are wearing. And then we go to our suppliers and we say, okay, make a 100 to 200 of this. We put it on our platform, on our app, and on our website, and we closely monitor the demand signals to see, what are consumers, is it uptaking, is it downtaking, how is it actually working? And if we see an uptick, we then go back to the supply chain and say, okay, scale up production. And that leads to our inventory and our overproduction is in the single digits today versus some of the other fashion and retail brands in the marketplace today. And so what that allows us to do is firstly minimize the waste, which is what of course we're talking about today, but also it allows us to pass cost savings on to our customers because we're not overproducing 40% of waste. So the model is truly innovative from that perspective. Of course, that does, so from a production side and upstream, that is actually pretty efficient and pretty good. But of course, there are challenges with our downstream side when you think about some of the end of life of products and waste, and then also, what types of materials we're actually using and how are we doing that in a more sustainable way. And that's why I'm really happy to partner with Stephanie at Aloqia on some of this, and maybe you want to explain our partnership a bit.
I think that, thank you so much for that. It was so interesting when a colleague that I knew from a prior brand went to work for SHEIN, and we started talking about opportunities to drive impact together. And it was in July 2022 when we started working together, and at the time, I assumed, like many people may out there, that SHEIN would have a lot of excess and opportunities for us to do something about that. Well, what was really unique when we started learning about the business model that you just described was that the opportunity to work together would not so much be in managing your excess, but in SHEIN coming and procuring and buying excess from other brands and retailers to help close the loop and make things out of materials that are already there. And that required a reframe in our thinking and to understand, because it is such a unique model, right? And that's where our partnership began. And so now you're able to procure and make some of the SHEIN products out there are made out of rescued materials from other brands and retailers. It's been exciting to see.
Incredible. So can you give me some examples of how you work together? Obviously, you're using some of that reclaimed material. What else are you doing?
Yeah, so when we started the partnership, that's where we started. But like any good partnership, it's been growing. I think it's been reported publicly now between last year and this year, you've grown over 40% in the volume of excess that you have procured and rescued, leveraging our software. But since we're here to talk about technology, let's share a little bit about the tech. When you're procuring, as everyone out there knows in supply chain, sometimes there are parts of the procurement process that could be more manual, or some parts of systems that are done on Excel spreadsheets. We saw that as we were ramping up together, there was a huge opportunity for us to actually integrate Aloqia software into SHEIN's OS, their operating system. And what was awesome about doing that is not only were we able to drive a 40% increase because of saving time and resources with that integration, it allowed the SHEIN team to come in and procure inventory in the way they're used to doing business. Yeah. Your system, your language, it's just powered in the back end by us. And that has unlocked huge efficiencies and opportunities to scale these kinds of initiatives. Obviously, with any partnership, this is where you start and how you can grow together and do more. And we did take it a step further now as well. Because we have this integration, we're actually able to, for their auditors, Deloitte and others, measure and report the water, the chemicals, the carbon emissions, and the waste saved. That is an algorithm that we built with MIT, but it's all verified now with the integration and the data. So it's been exciting to be able to report on that and keep growing together.
And thanks for that. And I think we're all sustainability professionals and working in this space. So I also want to share some of the challenges. It wasn't all rosy right from the start. And our partnership started at the end of 2022. So we're in our third year of work. I had nothing to do with this because I was just started in January. But it's been something I've inherited. And actually, some of the learnings talking to both teams have been quite insightful, especially for me. But I hope also for you. We had challenges with that technology integration, working with the back end, the full stack kind of really technology related issues. Our designers also, we had to sort of onboard them and make sure that they understood that they could, in their swatch book of fabrics, start to pick dead stock materials, and we had to correctly identify those in the swatch books. And so there was, quite a lot of work that happened, behind the scenes to make this happen. And as Stephanie said, the culmination is over from 2020 2023 to 2024, we used, I think it's 23,000 meters of dead stock, which is a 40% increase. So we're a buyer from Aloqia, whereas some of the other brands who have a lot of excess inventory are sellers onto the platform. So it's quite a remarkable partnership, I think.
Thank you. And to that point, I think what's also unique, a lot of times when we talk about circular economy, and we're talking about the circle, and there are questions out there around, well, are people going to want to work together, different companies, across industries and around the world? And I heard this on a panel yesterday, even with competitors, would they actually participate and share information and resources with each other? Yeah. I think this is a prime example where, yes, these brands and retailers are leveraging their excess materials, and SHEIN is able to procure it and use it. And that's something unique, but I think a great example of where the circle is working and the economy is working, and it's driving value for both parties. It's a win-win-win. And how do you say no to that?
Exactly. So what have you learned from the partnership, from working with each other, working together, and from wider in your industry? And can you translate that into some sort of actionable advice for our audience?
You want to start? Or
go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I can start from our side. These types of partnerships are, they don't happen overnight. So there is some maturity and some sort of a process that needs to happen before you could even enter into some type of an agreement. There's a heavy due diligence piece where we get to know each other, and for Aloqia they were trying to understand our back office systems and our software and our technology integration. From our side, we wanted to make sure we had a trusted partner that not only could supply us on day one, but could also be a continued partner going forward. That continuity, that resiliency, making sure we always had access to the platform. I think that's really key for many of the brands, and especially supply chain. You don't want those supply chains to stop or be disrupted in a way. And I think that was some of the insights and learnings that we had. I think advice over here, I would say that don't be shy to start some of these partnerships, even if you're a very sort of big multinational company with operations everywhere, and then you find a small technology partner somewhere. They can work. And we've proven that it can actually work in a way that makes sense and delivers tangible impact and outcomes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And when you're looking for these partnerships, obviously, whether you're a technology provider or a smaller company wanting to go work with some of the biggest companies in the world, there are going to be a lot of learnings. And as you said, challenges, and how do you turn them into opportunities? For us, another thing that we learned a lot about, obviously, you have global operations, but there's a lot of your supply chain team in a base that is in China. And so for us and our software solution, we are global. We have team on the ground globally. But being able to connect those dots with different locations, different languages, but because we had a mutual kind of trust and respect, breaking down those silos, language barriers, and leveraging technology to be able to communicate at that level has been very important. For us too, as a technology company, as you've been hearing for the past day and a half, all the innovations in blockchain and AI and technology, that allows, especially for any smaller companies out there, you to do more faster and do it even with smaller teams. And so you can service and support some of the biggest companies in the world if you take advantage of these tools that are now, we're democratizing access to them more than ever. So that can be a powerful way for you to feel, and we're always innovating. We were just talking about some of where we're going with AI agents and where we could do more together, and finding those opportunities to unlock, to do more together, to find synergies is really important. You want to be in it for the long haul.
And maybe just add, yesterday I got the privilege to go to the Chicago Cubs game with Gravity Climate, and I think they're here somewhere. There we are. And it was just great to be able to speak with them and see sort of their thought process. And it felt kind of like early days probably with what we did with you, where we had to. The traditional model doesn't really work for a company like SHEIN, and so they were able to say, okay, well, this is maybe one way we could go or another way, and it was kind of a thinking exercise for both of us to identify where could we sort of work together and what gaps could we close. So thanks again for the invite yesterday and also those discussions.
One other point I'll add too, obviously here we're talking about a partnership in the fashion industry, but as we kind of open this conversation, this touches across industries and around the world. Your model is applicable to other industries. The technology we provide, we work in food and beverage, hospitality, aviation, automotive, and we've always believed that there's an opportunity here for cross-industry collaboration as well. Like what would it look like for these kinds of materials to be used in other industries and vice versa? So unlocking those kind of synergies and cross-industry collaboration where we're going, I think the time is now, better than ever.
Maybe now that, if we wanted to expand the debate a little bit and the discussion today, maybe I can share with you a little bit about the circularity work that we're doing at SHEIN, just so you can understand how the work with Aloqia fits within that. So we have a roadmap called Evolution, and you can find this on our SHEIN.com website. And there's 3 pillars to this: people, planet, and process. And if we focus on sort of the circularity dimension, it's on the process side. And we have kind of created a tangible targets, which I can talk about in a second, but also a roadmap for how we're going to achieve that. And one of the key areas that are a learning that we've had at SHEIN is many of the fashion brands today, they have what we call a capsule collection. So one sort of a line, it's a vertical within their broader portfolio of garments and clothes, and that is their sustainability line. And we've tried this at SHEIN. We also had Evolution by Design, and we had something like this. But we, with our data and with our ability to see what customers are buying and what they're wanting, we realized, from our side, customers are not coming to the SHEIN platform to buy a sustainability capsule pillar. It wasn't the case. They're coming because we can offer accessible, low-cost products that are high quality to our customers. And so that that capsule type of collection just didn't work for SHEIN. So what we are trying to do now is to say, rather than going, in this vertical, but to go more horizontal across our entire portfolio. So we are looking into preferred attributes, preferred materials, and those include using textile to textile recycled polyester, for example. We have a target to achieve 31% recycled polyester by 2030. Last year we did 8%, so we're on our way, but we have definitely some work to get there. We have a target to use forest-safe viscose, which is a type of man-made cellulosic fiber, and then of course we have this work with Stephanie at Aloqia to use more and more dead stock materials, and so those are sort of the preferred materials that we want to say. And the vision that we have is that our designers, the ones sort of picking the fabrics and creating the garments that we have, when they open that swatch book, they don't have a separate book for sustainability fabrics, that it's all integrated into that one, and that every fabric that they pick has some sustainability element built into it.
It's been powerful to see that in the way you think about it, because I think a lot of times with, circular economy solutions in big companies, it ends up being like, a pilot project in one region of the world, and that's very important. Don't get me wrong, every initiative, every unit matters, but if it can look and feel in an automated, autonomous, scalable way, maybe it doesn't even matter that it has the word sustainable. It's just the way good business is done. That being said, we do have an element of customer engagement to what we do, because there are those consumers who do care and want to know and want to be a part of it. So now on some of the materials and products out there made out of stuff powered by our software, the consumer could scan a QR code and see the impact in their hands. And for those who it cares, they can see that they just contributed to that billion gallons of water that we've saved already, and be a part of that. And for reaching new customers and loyalty and incentives, it's a great add-on.
Yep.
Amazing. I feel like you've started to touch on it, but I want to dig into sort of the role of the customer, the role of the consumer here. How critical is your relationship with those people, and what are they driving?
Yeah, it's a great question. Charlie, I think from our side, our customer is, we believe we can have a very intimate, engaging relationship with our customers, because we don't have that shop. We don't have that brick and mortar shop. We have a platform where we have great data and information. We send our packages directly to our customers, so we can also understand what they're buying, where they're living, what type of consumer they are, and so we have actually quite good information about this. And so one of the areas that we're really trying to dive into is their habits and their motivations. And I think from our side, that customer angle is just so important to help us sort of drive and scale sustainability where it needs to be, and also be able to offer key products. We have in our Evolution sustainability roadmap, we do have it hasn't been quantified yet, but it's something that it's in my initiatives for this year and priorities. But it's to understand. We have an ambition that we engage consumers and customers along the circularity journey as wide as we can. So we are offering, for example, training programs. We have something called SHEIN 101, where you can go onto our platform and learn about some of the preferred attributes that I talked about, the preferred materials that we're using in our garments and products today. We also have what we call SHEIN Exchange, which is something where if you are unsatisfied with your product, it doesn't fit, or it just wasn't the color or style that you were actually hoping for, we have a platform that you can actually sell your SHEIN products on, and that's offered in a closed environment for us. So we also get more information on some of our customer base there. So long story short, customers are very, very important along our sustainability and circularity journey.
We love, obviously, the work that you do with connecting with your end consumers. For us, obviously, as a B2B software, our customers are the big companies. And when we're working with them, we also find that those kind of similar education and tools and ability to participate matters a lot. So, we do spend time being at events like this and educating, other businesses about the work we're doing, but even within the company, so that your employees can feel like they're a part of something by the work they're doing. Your supply chain partners who are a part of our platform and our network can feel like they're a part of something, right? They're a consumer too, and I think activating at all those levels, and which is why we're using technology to do that, lets everyone participate and be a part of it to drive that systemic change that we're all pushing for.
Brilliant. Well, you are a step ahead of me, but I'm going to ask anyway. Just to round us out, the future. For sustainability leaders in the room looking to engage their businesses, which obviously are across all sorts of industries, looking to engage more with using tech with the circular economy, what advice do you have for them?
Shall I start? Yeah. Maybe I was reflecting on this question a bit earlier, and I think I can offer a couple pieces of insights and advice. From our side, our suppliers, our tier 1 suppliers, which are our garment manufacturers, they're really small businesses. Imagine going to a supplier and saying, "Oh, create 100 to 200 units, and there's no guarantee we're going to come back tomorrow." That doesn't work for many suppliers, and so we've had to sort of really build that also intimate relationship and build that trust with our suppliers that indeed we will come back to you. It may not be for that pair of jeans, but it'll be for something else. And I think what we've been able to offer them is a technology platform which they can integrate into and be able to see, what type of garments can they be able to make, what type of garments do they feel they can't, what's their order capacity, what's their minimum orders, etc. So we have that technology platform there, and I think my advice to you there is the supply chain and the suppliers that we have. Even if they are small, they do have a propensity, and they can actually build into technology platforms. So just because they're not the biggest, state-of-the-art supply chain stakeholders, they can also integrate into some of these technology platforms.
Absolutely, and we are at this kind of unique moment in history. We've been hearing it for the past day and a half as well, but in the future, when unfortunately, inevitably, there will be another pandemic or a recession or a tariff or a trade war, whatever happens, being prepared now, leveraging technology because they're happening more quickly to be able to predict when it's going to happen, iterate your supply chain in advance so we're not being reactive reactive, but more proactive. I think we've seen a big uptick in our business and in our community's activities because of that. The other interesting thing we've seen is for our new customers, it's amazing, and we are big champions working with sustainability and innovation teams, but now we're seeing at the table the CEO who sets the corporate agenda, the CFO who's got financial liabilities, margins, and requirements on their tables that they have to manage, the CMOs who want to be able to communicate with the customer and share the story, the COOs and the CTOs who may be in the room too, who have to drive these operations in an automated, scalable way. And when they're at the table and driving these solutions together, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, I just also wanted to say to Charlie and the sustainability live team here that I think it's great to see, to Stephanie's point, that we're bringing the supply chain stakeholders together with the sustainability stakeholders. And in one way, I was walking through some of the exhibits and they're so integrated. The supply chain service offerings are talking about sustainability and vice versa. And I think that's probably the way forward, and kudos for bringing that together.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. So next up, we're going from fashion to sport. We're going to be talking changing the game, how sustainability drives commercial success in sports. Riley Nelson, Head of Sustainability at NASCAR, Turan Mullins, Vice President of Inclusion Engagement at the US Soccer Federation, are going to be in conversation with R.B. Bellany, Expert Partner of Strategy and Leadership at Think Beyond. So that's coming at 10:30. You've got a couple of minutes to top up your coffees in the meantime. I've noticed we've got a couple of standing people at the back. There are some seats at the front when you come back in. But in the meantime, if we can raise a hand, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.